Welcome to Fallout 76, and as you can see today I am at the Rusty Pig and my character is currently sitting on 6,000 scrip at the limit, and with the new systems coming into the legendary crafting in less than 3 weeks, I want to burn some of this and see if I can get some good legendary stars which I can scrap down when the new update hits. Now, which effects am I going to be looking for? Well, I'll put a graphic up on the screen in a second. The main ones I'm looking for is anti-armor, aristocrats, blooded, quad, instigator and vampires. Now, I don't use all those, but those are the ones that are the most popular and the ones that everybody's going to be looking for, so it's the ones where I want to be aiming for. Now, the second stars, there's a few good options. I'm looking for explosive, I'm looking for vital, which is crit damage. I'm also looking for rapid, which is 25% weapon speed, and I'm also, which is my favourite one, is VATS enhanced, which is 50% chance in VATS. And on the third star there's a couple of options. Durable. Now, if you've ever run anything like a Gatling plasma, it just burns through condition, so being able to have 50% extra condition on it, it's definitely one that's going to be useful to some people. The most best at the moment is going to be lightweight, because it will save a lot of stash space over the next 3 weeks. There's a lot of people that run crit builds, so the lucky stat, which is 15% that crit charge, will be very useful to a lot of people. The Swift is another popular one for most people, with plus 15% reload speed. Is definitely going to be another one I'm going to be looking for. VAT optimized, again, it's not one I use, but less AP cost is going to be useful to some people out there. So let's switch over to the game and let's see what my looks like today. So I'm going to be doing just ranged weapons on this, and I'm going to be burning about 3,000. So my first option is a Furious Alien Blaster. Now, Furious is a good one, but it's better on a fast fire weapons. I mean, you can put this to automatic. The second and third charges are very good, and don't pay much attention to the weight, because I'm running a full armor set with about 80% reduced weight, so a lot of the weight on these weapons when I put it in the stash will be a lot more, but that's actually not a bad start. It's actually quite a good weapon. Let's move on to the next one. Now, suppressors is not one I like. I'd rather be killing people than reducing damage coming in. Now, bash effect is useful on certain weapons like a shredder minigun, but on a combat rifle that's not going to be it, and like I said, that is just going to be straight into the script machine. I won't be saving that one. Again, next one, it's got 2 of the 3 stars which I did mention at the start, which I'll be looking for. So it has got the vampires, which is very sought after, and it has got weapon weight. That could actually be turned into a good weapon if I can just change the second star. I've got a very good weapon there, but again, 90% weight on a combat shotgun probably isn't the right weapon for it. Okay, we're looking for it. Now, damage to Scorch, 50% is okay, but when you can get aristocrats, which is 50% damage to everybody, these 50% to a certain enemy aren't that great. Now, the crit damage is going to be one that, again, could be useful. Again, I might not save this because I'm looking for 2 out of 3 stars to be useful for me to be saving it. So to me, this is just going to go in the script machine. Now, again, we're looking at a pipe bowl. Now, again, same as I said before, 50% to insects. Insects aren't that hard to kill. I'd rather have 50% to everybody. 50% in VAT hits chance is definitely one I'll be looking for, and damage resistance while reloading, again, can be very useful to certain people, heavy gun users that have long reload times. This is possibly a keeper because, again, pipe weapons don't weigh a lot. Again, Gatling plasmas, unless it has the reduced weight cost, it's not worth keeping. So bash damage on a Gatling plasma, you're never going to be doing that. Damage increases as your health increases. Again, you take damage and all of a sudden you're getting next to nothing on your bonuses. So again, there's nothing really any good about this, so I'll be scripting this one. Now, the Hellstorm missile launchers is not that great. The standard missile launcher is a lot better. Now again, 50% ghouls is not one is desirable to me, and probably 90% of the base out there, because ghouls are so easy to kill. Crit damage is useful, and AG8 isn't bad, but again, the weight of a Hellstorm is going to be about 15 to 16 kilos. It's no good. Straight into the script machine with that one. Gormans can be pretty good, but again, it caps out at 25%, so again, there's a lot better stats to be using. Minus AP cost, again, pretty decent. And damage while aiming, again, it is useful for people who don't use VATS, but again, not an ideal one, because the third star is a VATS specific one and the second star is out of VATS, so again, not really that great, so I will be scripting this one. Now, I do like the Black Peyote rifles. They are pretty good weapons, fun to play around with. Not going to win anything and not going to be great at bosses, but if you can get an instigator on a Black Peyote rifle, it can one-shot a lot of things, but it is going to attract a lot of enemies to you. Now, the limb damage, again, doesn't really make any difference, because with these sort of weapons you want to do one-shot kills. Chance to cripple, again, I think that's a part of the weapon. Perception, not really. Any stats on weapons currently is not that great. There is talk of it being changed, but no 100% confirmation on what it's going to be changed to. And the bash damage on something like this is just useless. So again, that will be going straight into the script machine. Again, this one is a very good weapon. This is one that's worth actually keeping. Quad, explosive, and less AP cost on an assault rifle. That's, somebody would pay good money for that, and that would be a good weapon to be running around with for a while, so I'll definitely be keeping this one. Probably the first weapon that's really good on all 3 stars I picked up today. Not been a big fan of ultrasight laser pistols. Again, I think the damage is a bit too low on pistols especially. Now, it has got the reduced weight, but the first and the second star just probably isn't worth even keeping this, even with the reduced weight. But I will keep it because, again, 90% reduced weight, that will be a sought after one for a lot of weapons, especially the heavy weapons that people want to make into their primary weapon. So let's go on to the next one. Auto grenade launcher, again, 50% damage to super mutants. Not that great. You want damage to all enemies, not just a certain type. But if you're running West Tech a lot, something like this could be very fun for you to just play around with. 50% hit chance in VATS. Again, I have used these in VATS and they are very fun to use in VATS. And 10%, again, but by the time you've shot somebody, being invisible ain't going to be doing you any good. That's a wasted slot on the third. Extra durability, or again, reduced weight is that third star needed to be for it to be usable of any kind. So to me, this is just going to be in the script machine. Okay, we're looking at a Gormans here again. As we mentioned earlier, Gormans isn't that great. Why have a 25% boost when you can easily get a 50% boost on something like Aristocrats? Again, most people are running around with a lot of money, or they can save 29,000 without spending just to get the maximum 50% on Aristocrats. So again, why go with 25% on Gormans? So that one's no good. Second star is very good. Again, crit damage is a very sought after weapon, and damage while reloading, especially on heavy weapons, as I mentioned, it is going to be very good. But on a pipe pistol, it's not great, but it doesn't weigh that much, so I will be saving this one. Now there is some changes coming to the medics one, but I'm not 100% certain of what's actually been confirmed from the PTS. So again, medics is not that great for especially what I build or what I run, and it's not one that really sells from vendors that much. Now replenish action point with every kill, that is pretty good, but it's better on weapons that can one-shot enemies, and you can basically keep your AP topped up. To me, there's nothing on there that's worth keeping. The weight is low on a gamma gun, but it's definitely going to be the Scrip machine I want. Assassin's Fat Man. Again, Assassins is only really useful if you're into PvP, and to be honest, most of the people playing Fallout 76 are not bothered with PvP. And a lot of people just run around with passive because of that reason. Chance is good, but again, this weighs too much to be saving around unless it has that reduced weight on the 3rd star, so this will be going into the Scrip for me. Again, what we said in the last one, Assassins, again, might be useful for people running PvP. There is a lot of human enemies, but to be quite honest, human enemies like Blood Eagles and Raiders, they aren't that hard to kill. So you don't need the 50% damage, you'd rather have a 50% damage to everyone. Now again, chancing bats is one of my favourites on the 2nd star, and because this one doesn't weigh them that much, I will be keeping this one to scrap down when the new system comes into play on September the 3rd. Blooded, again, I ran a Blooded build for over 3 years. It's one of them that is good for a lot of people out there, and it's very, again, it's not, you don't need to be blooded to kill anything in this game. It's not that hard of a game. That actually has 3 good stats on there. This will definitely be one I'll be keeping to scrap down when the new system comes into play. Replenish action points with each kill, and weapons break slower. Again, you wouldn't need a weapons break slower on a grenade launcher like this, but definitely useful for some people to put on other weapons. Now this one's a lot more interesting than the last one we had. Bloody grenade launchers. Again, ideally you want 2-shot on a launcher, like a missile launcher or a grenade launcher, but blooded can be okay. Critical damage, again, if you're using this in VATS, which you can do, I have used it in VATS before, and the 90% weight just means this doesn't weigh much in my stash. I'll be definitely keeping this one. Might actually just put this straight in a vendor. Somebody will be interested in something like that to play around with. Again, any railway rifle. A railway rifle that's not legendary is a really good weapon. The bash damage on here is not great. The damage to robots, again, it's good if you're doing a silo, but again, you wouldn't really be doing railway rifles in silos ideally. But definitely the 90% weight on there is definitely worth a keeper, because again, I could just keep that on myself and it weighs less than half a kilo. So definitely a good couple of stars on there, worth keeping. Okay, we mentioned this before, suppressors, again, why reduce damage when you can just do more damage and kill them? Bash, again, another star that's wasted. It's very only useful on a shredded minigun, really. You're not going to be, if you're running a pistol, you don't want to be bashing people with it. And going invisible, again, it's one of them stats that nobody really aims for. So this will be good, just going straight into the Scrip, even though it doesn't weigh that much. Nothing's worth keeping on there. Again, this one's quite interesting. A 2-shot, again. 2-shot on a pistol can be quite useful. Replenish action points with each kill. Again, if you can turn this into an automatic or something like that, with the AP cost being reduced by 25%, this is actually quite a good weapon to be having to play around if you want to do a pistol build. So it's definitely worth a keeper for me, this one is. Again, Assassin's Railway Rifle. If you're into PvP, I wouldn't like to be facing you if you've got an Assassin's Railway Rifle. I wouldn't like to be facing anybody who's got a Railway Rifle in PvP. Weapon speed, again, a very sought after start if you want to script it down. 10%, again, invisible one, just isn't that great. So again, anything Railway Rifle is good and useful for newer players, but for a regular player or a long-term player like myself, nothing on there except for the weapon speed is worth keeping. Now there is going to be some changes to some bows in the next one. I won't go into too much detail so I don't spoil too much. But again, mutants isn't one of those effects you will be ever looking for on a bow. 25% aiming. Again, bow is, I prefer to use it in VATS, but you can use it outside VATS. Weapon break slower. Again, something like this just doesn't break, but there's a couple of good stats on there I can break down and when the new system comes into play. Again, this one is just Scrip. Suppressors, again, I want more damage, not reducing damage. Limb damage can be useful if you want to put it on a weapon that cripples a queen, but this isn't the weapon for crippling queens. You'd want like a multi-shot, like a pepper shaker or something like that, which are really good for taking down queen. Limb damage on those are very, very good. Damage resist while reloading, again, something you would not need on something like this. It doesn't have a massive clip, but again, I will be scripting this one. There's not enough worth keeping, even though it is a light weapon. Exterminator Gauze Rifle. I do love the Gauze Rifles back from Fallout 4 days. I do prefer the Gauze Shotgun in this, the newer versions of it. But weapon speed, again, good stat. Damage while reloading, again, this doesn't have a massive clip size, it has a 5 capacity, so again you will be reloading a lot. And damage against insects is the only bad one, but again you can replace that star and this could be a very good weapon for somebody. It would be one I'd probably script because of the weight of it. Now we're coming to the last 5. Let's see if we can get some better luck. Again, it's got minus weight on there, so that's very good. It's got crit damage on there, which is a very good stat. And like I've mentioned before, Gorman's just isn't that great, but it's definitely one worth keeping. It doesn't weigh much, 1/4 kilo to keep it on myself. I'll definitely keep this and scrap it down when the new system comes into play. Again, we mentioned the medics earlier. It's good for certain people, but again, a lot of the time you don't need an healer in parties. It isn't like other MMOs. Last round on something like a Tesla rifle isn't that great. Again, capacity of 15, so 1 in every 15 then you get a 25% chance. 1 in 60 shots has a chance of, yeah, just ain't great. Action point cost is pretty good, but the other 2 stars are just not worth keeping, so this will be going straight into the script machine. Now I do like instigators. On a double barrel shotgun, it's not that bad. If you're close enough range, you can take out a lot of people with something like this. VAT crit chance. Again, you can use shotguns in VATs quite effectively. It's just let down by that 3rd star again, that invisible for 2 seconds. Again, if you're in somebody's face, going invisible ain't going to really do a lot of use. So again, I'll probably keep this one if I can. It'll be one of the last ones to script down because again, it doesn't weigh much with my sort of build. Now this one's a bit better, 2-shot. Again, personally for me, I prefer Instigator over 2-shot. But if you go against somebody that's already been damaged, then this is a more effective weapon. Replenish action point with each kill. Again, if you're using this in a VATS weapon, definitely good. If you was using this in a VATS, I would want something better than Perception on my 3rd star. I'd definitely be wanting something like AP cost or something like that to make it a better VATS weapon. But overall, not a bad weapon. definitely one worth keeping because there's a couple of good skills on there which people will be after when the new update drops. Now, coming up to the last one, let's see what we get. Not great. 50% damage to super mutants. You wouldn't be using something like this going up again into something like West Tech farming super mutants. Replenish action points with each kill. Again, pretty good. And the VATS crit chance. Again, it's a pretty good VATS weapon. It's just like I said, if that first one had been something like Aristocrats where it's 50% damage to everyone, this could be a fun little weapon to play with. So we've had a couple of good keepers in there and a lot of stuff in preparation for the next one. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thank you.